Verse 11 starts off with Het Yod Tav Kaf, Chayteka, your life. Yod Shin Bet Vav, he will return it, Bet Hey, to her. And then this word is Takin, Tav Kaf Yod Nun. Well, Kaf Yod Nun, even though it has a Tav prefix, is related to the word Tav in the last couple words of verse 10, Tav Kav Vav Nun Nun, where you get the word Conan or cannon. Remember, cannon is something where you take this tube maybe of iron or brass, and it has to be a certain thickness, and you put gunpowder in it, and you aim at a certain, and you put a certain type of thought. Everything's got to be engineered and planned and calculated, because if it blows up, it'll tear everybody apart on this side, and you're trying to launch this ballistic or shoot a rocket or shoot a cannonball. Everything you got to do, that's what the word Conan means. Real, solid, firm, established, placed. You don't want to go off like a loose cannon, because with every action, there's opposite equal reaction, and if the cannon's not held down solid, it'll jump backwards with the same force that it blows the cannonball out. And then this word takin is related words. Takun is the word astronomy. So he's basically telling us that the plan and the design of the stars being fixed, located, unmovable, though we all know they're moving, unless they're not, depending on whether you believe in that physics of the universe, it means weigh, examine, estimate, measure, plan, regulate, fixed, measurement, contents, design. And Tav Kaf Kaf Nun is the word for intrigue, troublemaker, or like a saboteur, a spy that destroys things. The next word, Betov, Bet Tet Vav Bet Tav Kaf. You're being good. When you are doing good, in the condition of doing goodness, Lamed Ayin Nun Yod, that's the word. Ayin Nun is make it my furrow, make it my rut, make it my concern. But Lamed Ayin Nun means embittered or wormwood. Chernobyl, from what I understand in Russian, means wormwood, the bitter. The last word there of verse 11, the word Elohim. So what he's saying is, no matter where your life is, Yahuwah promises to return it to the one who turns and does good, away from the bitterness that we were lied about these matters. And examine, look, read the message in the stars, read the message in the alphabet, read the message in the Torah. Make it your concern to hey bet tet, to gaze, to focus, to think. Look at Yeshua lifted up in these letters. Look at the story in the stars, in the pictures. It's all about Israel, Yeshua, Yahweh's plan. It's not about Hercules and Orpheus and the eagle and the dragon. Well, maybe those pictures are there, but it's not about them. It's about this story. That's what this verse is saying. Verse 12 then. Adonai Yatan Amer Ha Mebasharot Zavo Rav. Okay. Adonai, my Lord. Wait a minute. Aleph is a prefix letter, means first person self-referential, I will. Yod means myself. Dalet Nun is the word Dan, which means to judge, decide, or determine. So I could read the word Adonai as simply Lord or my master, or I could say, I determine, as for me, Yod Tav Nun, where we get the word tonic, is also perpetual, flowing incessantly, forever, not going to stop. Amer, declarations. The good, then here's the word, the root of it is basar, so it's hey mem, prefix letters, the messenger of the good news. It's also the flesh of fruit and fatted calf. Zadi bet aleph is the word for army, turtle, it's the swelling, and Rami resh bet is the word for great. So it's just like, this is the greatest news ever. I could take these three words and picture a big fat calf that somebody's going to harvest for a feast and say, to come back and understand that I choose to realize that these words of everything Yahweh said is the greatest feast, the banquet of reality, the promises that he gave that we can participate in. It is amazing. We've been lied to. This is the truth. And the food on the table is alive. It's not dried up and dead and just pictures of somebody else's reality. It's our reality that he's brought to bear for us. Present tense, right now. Us, our generation. It's amazing. Verse 13. My king, Zavot. Wait a minute. My king, that's the word melech. Mem lamed kaf, and yod suffix means my. But mem means one who. Lamed kaf means go or come. And yod means me. So I could say the word melech is also one who takes the counsel of, what did he say? So I could say, I choose to be one who does what he says. The word zavot, translated armies or hosts, but the word nun zadi bet is to stick a knife handle in, so it stands up like the shape of a cross. Zadi aleph means to export, bet aleph means to import. Opposite words. So I could say, I can give the command and it stands. Well, that's just like what David was writing about in Psalm 119. When we're doing what Yahweh said, he's given us this. Now here's this word, yod, dalet, vav, nun, and it's repeated twice. There's a song, doo-dah, doo-dah. Doo-dah, that's English taken off of this dude, dalet. It's actually means, if you look at mem, dalet, measured, indexed, stretched out, nature, rule, or character. It's something that sits there and bounces, like a childlike tet, pay, like the little drops, slowly. Hey, dalet is reverberate, together, mutual. So two things bouncing together. In the dictionary, it'll tell you that Dadaism, invented like, was it, about 1920 or so, is an art of incoherence and paradoxes. And this is dad, dude, like David, but there's no vav in between. It's where we have the concept of echoing. So what's he trying to say? It's a riddle again, something hidden. The next words, vav nun, vav tav. Well, you won't find that word, so you have to know what the letters mean. It has to do with causing something to happen regarding the promise of his covenant, hyphenated to the word bet, which is house. And then there's this word tav chet lamed kuf, which means to be different, fractional, divided, but also assigned, measured, shared, distributed, and a dilemma of character. So here's incoherent paradox. Two things that are supposed to be together, bouncing along together, which don't. One's flipping and the other one's flopping. Last word, shin lamed, means spoiled, plundered, deprived, withdrawn sheaves from the bundle. Like Yeshua separating sheep from the goats, separating wheat from the tares. Something has gotten separated and will be ruined, denied, negated, chained, fettered, spoiled. Wait a minute. Why is it, remember what I said in the beginning, why is it that Yahweh claimed to be the champion of Israel, yet Israel's been torn apart by enemies for 3,000 years, ever since the days of David and Solomon? Why is it that Yahweh said he'd save his people, but he doesn't? Why is it that Yahweh is this big monster who just beats the heck out of his people and brings nothing but apparent vengeance, so that we cling to Jesus and say, please save me from dad, he's in a bad mood again? Why? That's what this is addressing. Verse 14, if, sounds like the solution. Next word, tav shin kaf bet, vav nun. Well, kaf bet is bitten off, extinguished, quenched. Shin kaf bet means to lie down, lay to rest, ravished, lower millstone, oppressed by another, lower class. Well, that's what it's been. Being, that's bet yod nun, which means between, but it's also understand and bring to mind and consider this compared to that, because he's using these metaphors of relationship, of two different things, of hand in hand, of compare this to that and mediate. And here's the word shafatim, lips, between lips. Languages. Shin Pei Tav, established or ordained, set over the fire, like you picture one of those camp in the olden days where they put up a tripod and hang a pot and set something over the fire. That's the picture of the word translated lips or language. But it comes from Shin Pei He, which is quiet, sane, cured of lunacy, or inclined. And Shin Pei Vav Yod, if you know how the language is built, means indemnity or compensated. Shin Pei Vav Nun means hidden secret. And Shin Pei Vav Pei, crushed or weak. There's that concept of being stuck in a furrow. It's a picture of lips. It's a matter of tucking yourself into the lips, between the lips. And that word shafai, Shin Pei He or Shin Pei Tav, is regarding the Hebrew language. The other lips, the other languages are lashon, different, varied, hatred, contrary, against each other. But the shafat is always regarding the Hebrew language, and it means a hidden secret that was established and ordained as a place of quietness, sanity, and to be restored back to health. Then the next word is just my wing, kaf nun pei yod, kaf nun pei. But kaf is a prefix meaning like, nun pei, naf, well, that's the word for sift and sieve, like the treetop, the panoramic view of examining closely. It's just translated my wing. The next word, Yod Vav Nun He, similar to that one, Nun Vav Tav, which you can't find in the dictionary with a meaning. It's the word for Yonah, which is the word for dove or the word for Greek. And it's where we get the word in physics for an ion, which is the act of one going on a journey. Well, Jonah went on a journey, took a fish to go around Africa and up the Euphrates River. Greek was the vehicle to take us on a journey of disregard, of Yahweh's face becoming the hateful one that we hated to have anything to do with. We turned our back completely on his language. The Jews have turned their back on Yeshua, which was the Word made flesh. But to go back and get the panoramic view, tucking ourselves into Yahweh's lips. The next word, nun het pei he, het pei means secretly. It's the tooth of a key. It means covert. It's an engine bonnet or the hood of an engine. The engine, all the works under there that's covered over. It's also the word het pei pei for a stockade, protected, covered. It also means to rub or smooth or cleanse. Well, that's the exact same meaning of Shin Pei He, smooth lip, to cleanse. You take this stuff out from where it's been buried under the ground, going back to the very beginning where it says, arise, Yahweh, the first word of verse 2. Arise, Elohim. Polish this stuff off. Make this clear, which is exactly what we're doing with these videos in this study. Then the secret key of the place of refuge, the stockade, the promise of protection. Like silver, bet, kaf, samik, pei, but silver also means to be longed for, put to shame, waiting and longing for 2,000 years. The Christian church has been put to shame, and all the Christians just chopped up as martyrs. The next word, aleph, bet, resh, that's the word eber, as in Abraham, which means pinions, but it also means aleph, the prefix letter I will, bet, resh, where we get the word bara, which is first three letters of Genesis 1, the first two letters of the word Brit, which means covenant, and it means I will purify, clean, open, recover, restore. And then Barut there, Bet Resh Vav Tav, similar to the word covenant, Bet Resh Ov Tav, means food, nourishment, and cypress, which is where we get the word for brushing up something. I will purify, clean, open, recover, and restore. Well, not only is Yahweh saying that, but we're doing that by making these videos and letting everybody in the world see them for free. Learn his language. Next word, bet yod reshkuf, beer rak, green herbs, vegetation, and vigorous. And then the word charotz, which is one of the words translated for gold, also means diligent, industrious, which would be the same word for almond, but that's Chicago. It's a little bit different. Synonym words. vital, vibrant, tooth determined and pointed. You see a sharp pointed, hey, be careful of that. You don't run with scissors. Don't. This word charotz is not just gold, but it's just vibrant green gold. Well, they say it's like a colored finch, golden yellow. And it's like, they're looking at the colors, but they're not looking at the meanings. They're saying for us to go back and find out what these words mean and realize that this covenant is still alive and active, that Yahweh is going to restore, like the month of springtime here, Aviv, where the rains come and the grass explodes out of the dormant earth. That's what this is a picture of. This is gold country. I'm sitting here in America, in Sonora, and there's fields which are absolutely dormant, brown, dead in winter. And right now, just yesterday, saw brilliant yellow and orange flowers. The poppies of California are popping out. It's amazing. That's this picture. Verse 15. Bet in the condition of Pereshin. That word Pereshin means secreted away, sailed out to sea, lost at sea. Goodbye. It's where you get the word Perishah, which means exact or to quantify, distinct, clear, explain, declare, interpret. It's also a word where you get Persian and horse. We are doing right now exactly this word. It has sailed out to sea, and some people might think you guys have lost your mind. I don't know where you are, some sort of la-la land. The next word is Shaddai. Well, the word shad, shin dalet, is the word for a female breast. That word that we just used earlier, yod, dalet 5 noon, where I said it was bouncy, it's actually a picture of nipples. That's what it says in the dictionary, bouncing along. And there's something about what has this got to do with anything? Why does Yahuwah call himself El Shaddai, the great-breasted one? Because the word lashad, shin dalet, means juice, sap, vigor, milk, like butter. Fat, full, like butter. Clear, distinct. These words, how many times can you use words for rejoicing? Exuberant, joyful, merry, exaltation. How many times can you say this stuff is great, amazing, wonderful, full, luxurious, of benefit? You can't find enough adjectives. Mem, lamed, kaf, yod, mem. Mem is the place of. Lamed, kaf is the word for go or come or get at, but it's just translated kings. Kaf, yod, mem. Mem, lamed, the place of the teaching. And then kaf, mem, hey means to quantify or faint with longing and yearning. Right there in the word translated kings is. We've been wondering where this is. What is it? Where is it? How do we get it? And it's right here, hidden in the spelling of words in Hebrew. Bet hey, in here, in her, in the bet. Tav, shin lamed gimel, schleg. That's the word slow, snow. Hey Pedro, Schlegmeister, Caillou Spur, Montana. It's where we get the word logos and legion, which is many words, like an attorney spinning words. It means to gather, choose, or speak. Why is this word snow in here about making things clear and distinct, juice, sap, vigor, to quantify? And then here's the last word, bet, zadi lamed mem vav nun. Well, zadi lamed mem is a photograph. It means a semblance or a figurine, an image or an idol. And bet zadi lamed means onion or grow like a bulb, discreet, underground. Mem vav nun means numerator, meter. Mem yod mean nun, to invent, kind, species, gender, to furrow, sort, or classify. So this is saying like a snowman, like a snowman. Well, that's the pictographic meanings of the Paleo-Hebrew letters, like hieroglyphics, which Miles Jones says doesn't exist. Well, okay, bye, Miles Jones. You don't have to listen to this. The point is, he's telling us right here, it's hidden like pictures, like making snowmen out of the words. And to pick the right words according to the distinct, clear, distinguished, like butter of El Shaddai. And then verse 16, a related word is Kaf Mem Nun, which is where we get Cayman, like Grand Cayman, a truffle, Kaf Mem Hey Hey, but also we did that video called The Butcher, or Butcher Boy, reading how the Sophite letters, 5 of them, Kaf Mem Nun, Pei and Zadi. Well, Pei and Zadi to mean explode or to come out of the grave. Kaf Mem Nun means to hide, to be put into the grave. So even in the Sophite letters, this 5 mini alphabet, it says what was put into the grave as a place of incubating and gestating Mem will be revealed when Pei Zadi, it blows out, which is the same story. So we are experiencing and iterating and manifesting the latent hidden treasure that's even in the Sophite letter alphabet. Verse 16, Har Elohim, the mountain of God. Har Bashan, the mountain of Bashan. Wait a minute. The word Bashan, Shin Nun, is the word Shen, which means teeth, pointed, but it's also hateful. Bashan means shame, different, changed. The damage done by teeth, disguised and different. Wait a minute. Hey-resh is the word mountain, but it also means pregnant, something that has life in, that's hidden and tucked away, developing like in the mem of Cayman. Hey-resh yod means here, behold. Har, hey-resh means think, meditate, reflect. Hey-resh yod, hari means aspect or quality, which is a synonym with hey-bet tat, where we get the word habet, make a habit of the habitat, pondering the letters that are in the alphabet, pondering the meaning, because each one of the letters is pregnant with Yahweh's place of hiding himself, his face, his mouth, his words, his heart, his voice. But it's been put to shame, disguised, different. And then the word har gibananim, gibon is humpback, hunched, cheese curds, rounded summit, convex, where we get the word for eyebrow. So in other words, the great point of this spectacular mountain, like Mount Hood in Oregon, is this kind of a quintessential, almost like the Teton Mountains of Wyoming or the Alps, these great sharp peaks, like shark's teeth, boy, flying over Canada from Calgary into Vancouver and seeing the Rocky Mountains like these rows and rows of shark's teeth, like ocean wave with the pointed caps. They've been rounded over and despised, changed, disguised, different, damage done by teeth. The mountain of Yahuwah has been put to shame. That's verse 16. Verse 17, why? Lama, Yeshua on the cross. Eli, lama sabachthani. The word lama means why. For what reason? Tav resh zadi dalet vav nun. Resh zadi dalet means observe with hostility, stealthily, sabotage. And it also means leap, skip, jump. The mountains. Hey, resh yod mem. Wait a minute. Reem is where you get word Rome and Romulan and like a remox, which means the great ones. And then gimel bet nun nun yod mem is the same word as the rounded before. And then hey resh, the mountain. You could take this whole thing and say, why have the great ones observed with hostility or stealthily, and they jump to the place where it's rounded and no longer sharp? You could say, the next word means chet mem dalet, which was take pleasure in or pamper, to desire greatly, wish for, coveted, delight, grace, or charm. Why do the great scholars jump to disregard as if they love to loathe Yahweh's stuff? Why don't the Jews be happy and rejoice in seeing that Yeshua is the Messiah, Mashiach of Israel, that's in every one of these letters? Why do the scholars of Christianity hate the Moedim in the Sabbath day when it's the key to the kingdom. Why? Elohim will return. Elohim Lamed Shin Bet Tav Vav, when returning to Shabbat. Aleph Pei Yahweh knows character, anger of Yahweh. He will dwell. Ishkan Lamed Nun Zadichet. Ishkan Yod Shin means is, reality. Shin Kaf means dwell, a booth or enclosure, and Kaf Nun means yes, truly. So the word Mishkan means this is the place of truth. The Mishkan pattern, oh yeah, that's the tabernacle that Moshe built. It is that, but it means this is the place where Yahweh's truth is dwelling. Really? And then the last word, La Natzach, well, that's the very first word in the very beginning for the conductor. No, it means spectacular, eminence, glory, juice of grapes, made brilliant, conquer, endure, vanquish, glorified, industrious, perpetually, eternally. In the Mishkan pattern. The word pattern, tabanit, my son, hidden within the letter Tav. You understand that when he says it, it must be the reality. Oh, he changed it. No, he did not change it. Verse 18, Rachav, horse and rider, tandem, Elohim, Resh Bet Tav Yod Mem, much, many, exceedingly, great and mighty. And then Alphi is translated thousands. It's where we get the word Alps. But Lamed Pei, again, laugh, according to my mouth. And the word Lamed Pei Yod means turnip, spicy, tasty, spiced, twist, rasp, wrap right around like a spinning top. Wait a minute. Then I could read this as saying, there are thousands of tasty, twisted variations. Listen to whoever you want. Create your own reality. Invent your own doctrines. Shin Nun, Aleph Nun. Repetitions, changed, hated, echoing. Many voices hate this stuff. Go listen to them if you want. I determined for myself, that word Adonai, Bet Mem, accordingly with them, Sinai, the word for erudite scholarship. Samach Yod Nun also means together with, synonymous, putting together, Bet Kadosh, Bet Kuf Dalet Shin, with others who are set apart under the Kadosh things of Yahuwah, other people, other matters. What other matters? Yahweh said that his ways are the Kadosh ways, and he gave us Chok and Mishpat and Matzot and Torot and Ta'edot. He gave us half a dozen things that he said, these are my teachings, my testimonies, my instructions, my commandments, my ways. They're all like synonyms of just do what he said. And they include the Sabbath day and the Moedim, his language, his name. And if you study and look at the synonyms of the words, it's all right here. But there's thousands of other variations. Was there 50,000 denominations of Protestant churches? Together with others who have a regard of his matters, I determined for myself, Adonai, I determined for myself to study these things that are kadosh. That's what this says. Leviticus 19:2, Yahweh says, I am kadosh, therefore you'll be kadosh, therefore do not eat certain foods. So anybody that eats pork, shellfish, sturgeon, crab, eels, slugs, rats, pigs, I mean, whatever doesn't chew the cud, rabbits, squirrels, that's not kadosh. Do whatever you want, but this is what Yahweh said. If you want to be his people and be elevated, the next word, first word of 19, Aleph, or Ayin Lamed Yod Hey, it means to be raised up, success, promoted to a higher dignity. You want to be raised up to a higher dignity. You want to see the kingdom. You want to comprehend, as Mark said in the opening prayer, open my eyes that I may see. Quit eating the stuff he said not to eat. It'll degrade you. It'll blind your eyes. La mak lamed mem resh vav nun. La marom. Unto the place of the Rom. We said the Reem before was the great ones. Rom, Roman, Romulan, Reem. It's the exalted. Shin bet yod tav, captivity, but it also means return. Shabbat, go on strike. Turn, another variation. In other words, people get every variation, you could say, except for going back and doing what he said. Every possible variant permutation, except for just doing what he said. Well, that's what it used to be. Now we're just doing what he said. We're trying to figure that out, and that's what we're doing. This is translated, take captivity captive. That's so you know where we are. But this word, Shin Bet Yod, I will make myself a prisoner and take hold, Lamed Kuf Chet Tav, of, now here's the object, Mem Tav Nun Vav Tav. Well, the Mem Tav Nun is where we get the word loin. Act slowly, patiently, moderately. Tav Nun Vav is terms, stipulations, bowstring, cord of scales, give a gift, donation. Mem Tav Nun Hey, casual study, pondering. Just calm down and do it. You don't have to be in a mad rush. You don't have to be in a panic. Just start doing what he said. Next word, Bet Aleph Dalet Mem. With Adam, with man, or import, I-M-P-O-R-T. Importing is Bet Aleph, and Dalet Mem is word for blood. But Dalet Mem is also the word for likeness, similarity, and of equal. And then the word Vav Aleph Pei, so that, nose, character, and wrath, Samik Vav Resh Resh Yod Mem. Well, there you go with that word, rebellious and stubborn, or moved aside, which is the same as that we had looked at in verse 7 before. I will, in verse 7, it talked about tour, scout, reconnaissance, anchor myself, stuck into the furrow. And then there's Lamed Shin Kaf Nun, La Shekan, that's the word Mishkan, Ya Elohim, that's the end of that verse. But he's saying, wait a minute, I will similarly take on the character of rebellious and stubborn and will become truly, and there's that word Shekan, or Lashak, where it means dwell or room, chamber, like an orchestra pit. Playing back on the theme of song, sing what song? Well, the song, what song is the orchestra singing? What song is the choir singing? The song of Yah Elohim. The word Yah, Yod Hey here, means actuality. This is the reality. This is the reality we've all been looking for. And I'm going to turn away from turning away. I'm going to be rebellious and stubborn when it comes to arguing against the lies, whether it's Christian or Jewish or Muslim or heathen or pagan or whatever it might be. No, they're wrong, and I'm going to be adamant about it. That's what he's saying right here. Okay? Very, very interesting thing. In looking up a certain word on page 647 in the dictionary, there's a word that says, it's in little tiny letters as part of an exclamation. Here's part of the benefits of the dictionary, Ernest Klein's Etymological Dictionary. It's in looking under Shin, Vav, Tav, Aleph, Shin, Vav, Ayin, Tav, Aleph. It's not even written in as one of the regular words, but it means he spoke or talked or played a game. Ayin, Tav, basically, Ayin Dalet Ayin Tav, Daniel 12:4, translated until the time. But here you realize that by looking at the composition of other words and their meanings, it's like Ayin Tav is time to play a word game, like the sport of the kingdoms, playing with words. We've been saying this all along, and here it is. You know, I wrote that thing about Smilodon, Zachakadan, intellectually, as a scientist, messing with the spelling of words like it's a gladiator sport. Really serious stuff, but finding this word, Shin Vav Ayin Tav Aleph, validates the concept that the time is to get into learning these words, messing with these words, if you want to. You don't have to, but now the time is at hand that we can. Verse 20, bless Adonai. But the word Adon, again, my decision, Aleph Dalet Nun, dictionary means foundation, base, pedestal. It's a railway sleeper tie. So you get one of those railroad ties and you lay them down and you put the tracks on top. It's like the blessing of Adonai, Yom Yom, each and every day. Yod, Ayin, Mem, Samik, carry a load, carry the burden, Lanu, for us. Hey, Aleph, Lamed, moving toward Yod, Shin, Vav, Ayin, Tav, Nun, Vav. Yeshua, Tenu, Selah. Think about this. Every day, the basis of everything is that Yahuwah, our Elohim, wants to save us. That's it. That's the foundation of the train tracks, with every 21 of the 22 letters and every word of the scripture built on the fact that Yahweh wants to save us. And David, when he says Selah, he says, just stop and think about that. You can't ask him too many times to save you and help you. It's all about saving us. That's why Rabbi Simcha Perlmutter says, we know the name of the Savior. It's in all of our writings. It has to be Yeshua. This is what Simcha Perlmutter said back in the early 80s. He said, we tried to argue with the Christians way back in the beginning, and all they would do is try to kill us. So we said, fine, believe whatever stupid lies you want. You're not one of us. Get out of here and shut up and leave us alone. And so that's been the great divide all along. Verse 21. Hey, Aleph Lamed, the power, the reason to believe in God, the motive to regard Lanu, for us, Aleph Lamed, is the power of saving. Lamed Mem Vav Shin Ayin Vav Tav. Shin Ayin again means to save, but it also means to delight. And unto Yahweh, at the instruction, the Lamed of Yahweh, Adonai Lamot, the Lord of death. The Lord of death. That's the Grim Reaper. Is that the devil? Last word, verse 21, Tav Vav Zadi Aleph Vav Tav. Well, Zadi Aleph, well, that's the word for get out, expel, or publish, or shit, blossom. Whoa, just get out of here. He's saying one reason to believe in Yahuwah saving us, and that's all we focus on, is that the Lord of death is told to leave us alone. And I don't even have to contemplate the Adonai Lamot. It's expelled from my consciousness by focusing on Yahuwah and his language and his Torah and his Shabbat and his Moedim and Yeshua, his saving. Adonai Lamot has nothing to do with anything. Though I know he's there to do a job, sent at the instruction of Yahuwah, as it says, Vav Lamed Yod Vav. Anyway, verse 22, Ak Elohim, my only concern for the oath of Elohim. Yod Mem Het Zadi. Well, Het Zadi is the word for arrow. Mem Het Zadi is to be pierced with an arrow, to divide or partition, or to be smited. We did that video on Mount Sinai 7. Don't be smited. Mem Het Vav Zadi is pierced or wounded, cut in half. Rosh, well, that's your head. That's your head being cut off. His enemies, and then Kuf Dalet, well, that's the crown of the head. So he's saying that my only regard is that Elohim, my Elohim, Yahuwah, is going to have the enemies lay their head down and behead them. That's what this is saying. But my head will bow to study his words, the word Sair, which means to cleave or split or value, measure, calculate, reevaluate, to know. That's the synonym with the word Eric, as in Erictology, and Shin Mem Nun. And then Mem Tav He Lamed Kaf, which is the word Tav He Lamed, is Tahal, which is praise, glory, fame, examine, in astonishment. And then the last word, Bet Aleph Shin Mem Yod Vav, means guilty, sinned, blame, or excuse. And it's like, wait a second. He has been blamed and accused. We've accused him of being the big, ugly, stupid monster. What kind of a God is that? He forsakes his people. He's kind of a rat. I've heard all these words. But it's we who have turned our regard, didn't do what he said, and believed him to be the big ugly monster. Shinai and Resh, calculate, also means big hairy monster. Goat, abomination, horrible, stormy, raging. We have turned him into that, and so he manifested that for 3,000 years. And even before the 3,000, for the 1,000 years, or the 500 years between Moshe and David, and even more so, what I'm saying is that the history of the planet has been imposing horrors to Yahweh when he said, if you listen to my words and believe them and trust, bet tet chet, as we said last week, trust that I will do what I said and you play into my ways, righteousness, justice, truth, and kindness, believe me, love your neighbor, do good, and you're going to be astounded at what happens, and the whole world like set up like dominoes. It will happen. I believe that's what's in front of us. And if there is a tribulation, it's going to be not for us. It's going to be everybody who hates his ways and works against them. It's not going to be for we who are walking in righteousness. Absolutely. So declares, verse 23, so declares Adonai from Bashan, or even at a place of being put to shame, but that which is sharp mountains, I will return to rescue. Ashiv, mem, zadi, lamed, vav, tav. That word to rescue is bell, or to cast a shadow. In Spanish, it's the word sombrero, that which causes this big shade, like a bell, like covering over inside a shelter. And then there's that word yod mem, the last word of verse 23, which is sea, S-E-A, or west, or a body of water. What's he saying? If it's mem, zadi, lamed, vav, tav, that can mean, and from the shadow of west? What's he saying? Is he saying from the west? It doesn't say from the west. It says from the shadow west, or sea, or, well, we live in America, and I don't know if anybody in the East is putting out these words, but we're in the West, and we're certainly putting out these words on these videos. Maybe this is talking about us. I will return from being put to shame to a place of rescuing. Why? Because we're talking about his words and telling the truth. Verse 24, for the sake of lamed, mem, ayin, nun. Well, that ayin, nun, again, answer, reply, be stuck in a furrow, make it your business, make it your obsession, concern, tortured, afflicted. Tav, mem, chet, zadi, the deadly wound of being cut in half. Resh, gimel, lamed, kaf, your regal, that's foot, custom, habit, tradition. That's a kingdom divided in half. That's when, in the days of Jeroboam and Rehoboam, sons of Solomon, the kingdom was divided. Our kingdom has been divided ever since. So now this is bringing current something from 900 BC or 800 BC. Badam, with blood, or similar, silent, but dalet mem hey means equal, same in value. Lamed shin vav nun, lashon, well, that's the word for tongue. Different variants change hatred. It also means to be believed, thought, and imagined. So he says right here, equal in value to what you believe. Your kingdom was cut in half, but like your heart, kalaveka, mem, aleph yod bet yod mem, turning away from being somebody who hates him, mem nun he vav, counted, signed up for a subscription, the allotted portion. At the hand of enemies, we were handed the portion of being lied to because our forefathers and us ourselves preferred the lie. We preferred the lie, so we were lied to. We wanted to think of him as a big, ugly, mean, hairy monster, so that's what he was. Equal in value, badam, for the sake of change, like your heart, kaf, lamed, bet, yod, kaf. Change your heart, he changes his face. we walk in his ways, all of a sudden our ways are illuminated. Zachach, Zamech, Het, Yod, Het. Verse 25. And made on exhibition. Resh, Aleph, Vav. Revealed. See it, perceive it. You'll be allowed to see. Hey, Lamed, Yod. The shining of my Kaf, Vav, Tav, Yod, Kaf. Or you could say it's one word. Hey, Lamed, Yod, Kaf, Vav, Tav, Yod, Kaf. You can't find that word, but Kaf, Tav is party, faction, sect, herd, or group. And it's halakha. Hey, Lamed, Kaf. But here the letters are all separated out. So what it be basically saying is, when you decide to walk my way, as Elohim empowers the manner, the walking, the judicial process, Hey, Lamed, Yod, Kaf, Vav, Tav, that's a derivative word of the same previous one, toward me, my king, implementing my destructions, Bet Kadosh, as in the condition of being Kadosh. So our job is to look in the scripture and say, what did he say was Kadosh? And what did he say was Halal, Het Lamed Lamed, profane, common, poked holes in, drained out, empty. Do what he says is Kadosh. And he tells us in Leviticus, this is Kadosh, do this. And we go, okay, I'll stop eating bacon, stop eating ham on Easter and Christmas. Okay. Change the world. This is the powerful agent. 26, kadem. See, this is the word east. We talked about the word yod mem, which was west, which is sea, but this is the word kadamo, which means before, in front, advance, pioneer, ancient, prosper, priority, hastening, welcomely received. It's also synonym with paleo, ancient, hidden from the east of the place of prosperity. Sharim, singers, princes, body armor, Achar, future, next, other, delayed, unrecognized. It's like, he promised this. Here it is. Nun, Gimel, Nun, Yod Mem, gardens. But it's also playing instruments, music, singers, singing songs in the future. Bet, Tet, Bet, Tav, Vav, Kaf, your young girls. But it's also inside, internal, arbitrate, ready, relay. Here's an interior relay. Expression or oppression and violence is Tav Kaf Vav Nun. Again, like I said, the words astronomy or peacock tail, plan or design. Next word, Ayin Lamed Mem Vav Tav, where you get the word strong, young, eternity, maiden, ready to marry, a little kid brought to maturity, ready to be the adult. But it's also the word forgotten, forgetfulness, hidden, concealed, had disappeared, and then this word tav vav pe vav tav, which is drum beats, like that song you played, Kurt, on the video. You hear the drum beats, heartbeats, the pulse of the dragon, not the bad dragon, the good dragon. What I'm saying is like it's throbbing, it's almost like you hear these drum beats coming. The United States made it illegal for Native Americans to play drum beats, because that would stir up. There's something about this from within. You can feel these drum beats of this truth of Yahuwah restoring his mind, his heart, his voice, in our ears to hear it and sense it. You can sense it. Verse 27. At that time, at that place, the assemblies, Kahalot. Well, the kahal is where you get the word kahilit, which is Ecclesiastes. Words of Solomon, that's where we get the word ecclesiastical, or preachers, or church. The church is the ecclesia, Greek. This is the word kahal, the place, time of assembly. Well, that's the Moedim, that's the Shabbat, that's get together with other people. Our barakah, blessing, Resh Kaf, in the condition of tender delicacies, when you realize that the gathering together of letters to spell words are also tender delicacies of Elohim. Adonai, I choose, I determine for myself, Memem, Kuf, Vav, Resh, Ma, Makur, appreciate as precious, valuable, priceless, rare treasure, make dear, enhanced regard, Israel. And the word Yashar El, Israel, literally means straight, right, plumb, level, square, even, honest, true. So as you were saying, Sean, in the beginning, Choose to put to value comprehending these things and being at the place. The word kur also means original, spring, fountain, source of flow, infinitive. That means forever, and it has to do with the female anatomy to be, again, obsessing over being stuck in this furrow, in this rut of saying, I'm going to be right here, tucked in, sheltered in Yahweh's stuff. Verse 28, there, that place that he was just describing and talking about, Benjamin, Bene Mem Nun, Bet Nun Yod Mem Nun, Bene, my son, Nun Yod Mem means one who sleeps, Mem Nun is one who emerges, like a butterfly out of the chrysalis, like Yeshua out of the grave, like Jonah out of the mouth of the fish. So I could read the word Benjamin as son of my right hand, but also as one who sleeps, waking up from the coma. The next word, Zadi Ayin Yod Resh, small, young, insignificant, lessen, reduce, cause pain, grief, agony, suffering, annoyance. But it also means compensation for suffering. So even though Yahweh has maintained this oppression for 2,000, 3,000 years, being dominated by our enemies, lied to, lost out, the world going sour, everything rotten, stinking, not worth living, which is why suicides are so high. And even this COVID nonsense, big dirty lie, he's going to compensate for the suffering with this truth. Resh Dalet Mem, next word, means coma, fast asleep, anesthetized, like under the effects of a narcotic. So somebody asked me, why do you say that it's like Israel's been in a coma? Because of this right here. I sing, Sari, Shin Reshod, Yahuda, something about us singing this song of praise, and though it's words, this song of Yahuda, Hodu la Yawah Kitov, Ki le'olam chasto. Shari Yahuda, Resh Gimel Mem, Tav Mem, their murderers are damned and should be stoned. My song, Sari Zebulun, that's another name of one of the tribes, but Zebulun means like Zabulun, the balloon floating, but it also means like from bomber airplanes dropping bombs. It also means garbage collector, dung beetle, to dwell rat-infested like bugs that eat shit. My song, Sari, Naphtali. Here's another, the third. So there's Benjamin, Yehuda, Zebulun, and Naphtali. But Naphtali means contending, wrestling, twisting, perverted, tortured, subtle, sneaky snakes and weasels. So he's basically saying, as we sing the song of Yehuda, emerging like Benjamin, then the murderers and dung beetles and sleazy weasels of liars and murderers will be, as it were, stoned. And remember, Yahweh says if somebody perverts his words, they should be stoned by the people of Israel. But also he threw down hailstones of fire and ice on enemies of Israel. May it be so, Yahweh. Get rid of our enemies. Next word, Zadi Vav He, verse 29. Command order, or express Yahweh's commands, which we're doing. We're telling you what he said. Zadi Vav He. Your Elohim, Ayin Zion Kaf. Your glory, dynamic, esteem, strength, and refuge. Ayin Vav Zion He. Of seeking a place of refuge, fortress, prestige, preeminence, spectacular regard. Elohim, this, Zion Vav, Pei Ayin Lamed Tav. That's where you get the word Paul, which means compel, induce, deed, action, wage, activate, verb, reward, lanu, for us. It's like, wait a minute. Yahweh gave us this as the trigger to make all this stuff happen. Pull this trigger. What trigger? Our enemy said that it was no trigger, that it didn't exist, that it was done away with. Yahweh says, just do what I said. It's the trigger. It's the word trigger is also a bent bow, which is also derek. Walk the way I said, and it's the trigger for everything to happen, which is your glory, prestige, and place of refuge. Verse 30, Mem, He, Yod, Kaf, Lamed, Kaf. Again, your power, capacity to prevail. Yod Kaf Lamed. It's also Kaf Lamed is all, everything. He has provided everything unto Jerusalem. But the word Yerushalayim is also as inheritance. He has been saving up as an inheritance for all these thousands of years for us, this generation, right now, bringing these words to bear. Lecha, to you, for you, he will, Yod Vav, Bet Yod Lamed Vav, he will, and here it is, to stamp, produce or fruit, block of wood, bullseye, Mem Lamed Kaf Yod Mem, Melakim, target kings. He'll put a bullseye on kings as a gift. Shin Yod. What? Remember, he said that he would have the heathen and the infidels do all the work, building houses and planting gardens and give his people to live in them and drink the wine. And you didn't have to build them. You didn't have to do anything. All you have to do is do what I said, and I will target kings and kingdoms as a gift to give you. You picture, movies and old pictures where, as wedding gifts, some king gives all this stuff to his bride, as it were. And it's like, he's going to give kings and kingdoms to we who do his stuff. Okay. Thank you, Yahweh. Verse 31, Gimel Ayin Resh, scold, reprimand, rebuke, chide, curse, Chet Yod Tav, alive, living, Kuf Nun Hey, maker and possessor, Ayin Dalet Tav, give testimony, meeting, communal, Aleph, Bet, Yod, Resh, Yod, Mem, Abirim, that's where you get the word Abraham, but it means strong, mighty, valiant ones. Bet, Ayin Gimel Lamed Yod, in my chariot. Circle around the calf. People reply. So, give you these words and say, what does this mean? Rebuking life? That's like saying, what, you don't want to live because everything looks so bad? That's why people are committing suicide? But the testimony of the maker of heaven and earth is that the strong, valiant ones teamed up with him. Remember, like the word Merkabah, but this is Ogul. Og, king of Bashan, was a big round guy. Like, who's the name of the Star Wars? That big round guy. Anyway, looked like a big slug. The next word, Mem Tav Resh Pei Samek. Again, stamped, tread, trampled, weak, failed, muddled, or soiled. He's gonna turn around, even though things have been stomped, crushed into the ground, completely ruined. Bet Resh Zadi Yod, filled to the brim, overflow, Kaf Samek Pei, silver, but it's also like Kaf Samek Pei, which is the word for Joseph, goblet, threshold, yearning. The evil that people do, when their cup is filled to the brim, he's going to make them drink it. He's said that numerous times. Whore Babylon, drink the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Bet Zion Resh, bizarre, strangers, scattered, alienated. All those alienated, Ayin Mem Yod Mem, people or kinsmen, Kuf Resh Bet Vav Tav, are allowed to draw near Yod Chet Pei Zadi Vav. He will delight in them. So here, Sean, what you were saying in the beginning, anybody who's scattered and alienated is allowed to draw near and become his delight. Anybody that hears these words and say, I've been waiting to hear that there's a reality, and that the bad guys who have filled to the brim their cup of evil are going to be made to drink it. I don't have to despair of life. I can turn to the maker and giver of heaven and earth, maker and giver of life, and be his people. No matter what things look like right now, no matter how stomped it is right now, he promised to restore it. Okay, that's what he promised. And he delights to restore because his whole game is saving his people. We've just got to be his people by returning to the Shabbat and his name and his words and his ways and his Moedim. Righteousness, Zadaka Mishpat, Emet, and Chesed. Next verse, 32. Yod, Aleph Tav, Yod Vav. Aleph Tav again. If you know what Aleph Tav means, and Yod, the prefix, means he will. Aleph Tav is the plan all through the Aleph and the Tav. And remember, the word Aleph Tav Yod means me. So he will accomplish that which he has said. Aleph, he will certainly accomplish it. Tav. He will be as he determined. His essence, to have reputation, is exactly what these 22 letters of the alphabet are about. Het, Shin, Mem, Nun, Yod, Mem. Well, here's a het, that's a fence or a guard or a prison or a box. Shemen, that's oil. The word is translated nobleman. The noblemen, the noble bridesmaids, are the ones that got in, the ones that had the oil of his fence. And the word oil, shemen, means to appraise and evaluate. The ones who have a value for what it means to be in his stuff, in his het. And according to the Mishkan pattern, that's the Moedim. It's his instructions. The ones who value his instructions have the oil and are considered the ones of nobility. They're allowed to come in, that he says he knows, that he's not going to reject, as saying, I never knew you, because they don't recognize anything about him. Mem, Nun, Yod, Meni, assigned, portion, rate, share, numbered, allotted, subscriber. We have signed up to be his people and do his stuff according to his words and instructions, and it's in defiance to the heresy of the Christian church and the Jewish rabbinical order of Judaism. What the heck? Mem, Zadi, Resh, Yod, Mem, Egypt, place of rocks, struggle, distress. Kash, Vav, Shin, Cush, meaning spindle or wrapped around. Zadi, Resh, or Tav, Resh, Yod, Zadi, synonym for Yashar, is straight, upright, but it means answer difficult questions, explain and set right, which is exactly what this is. When you take the meanings of his letters, the meaning of his Aleph Tav as the spindle upon which everything else is wrapped up, the meanings of the letters, the way they spell, the way they bump into each other, all the difficult questions are made clear. That's verse 32. Yod Dalet Yod Vav, his hand, he will, enough. He will provide everything, la Elohim, according to Elohim, according to towards the vow that he promised. Aleph Lamed Hey means oath, obligation, promised vow to deify. It's translated gods, but it means all these other things. Exactly what he said he will do. And it focuses around that. So we mentioned the other day about how you have Gimel, I think it was Gimel Aleph Lamed, like he's the focal point and orbiting around, and like electrons in fields of rotation around the nucleus of an atom. It's a fractal pattern of the way the entire universe is built. It's simply translated Cush. Oh, that's the land of Ethiopia. You missed it. Verse 33. Kingdoms of the earth will sing Shiro, Shin Yod Resh Vav, sing this song unto Elohim, Zimmer, singing Adonai Salah. Kingdoms or kings, but you could say one who walks. Mem, Lamed Kaf, Vav Tav. Lamed Kaf is to take counsel of walking. So it's not about the kingdoms of the earth. It's one who walks haaretz. I will run this gauntlet, this route. So the same gauntlet, the same obstacle course that Yeshua came to run, the Aleph through Tav, is the same one that we choose to run, Resh Zadi, which also has to do with enthusiasm of loving his stuff. Ritzi, you could say. Interesting enough, I think the word Resh Zadi also has to do with the ancient Paleo language, Ra'atz, Resh Ayin Zadi, I think is what it is. Anyway, singing this song is to stop and think, weigh in the balance. That's the word Selah here, the last word of verse 33. Choose, Adonai, to determine and scrutinize carefully. Weigh in the balance. Zimmer, prune the trees. It's like, get rid of the stuff that doesn't belong there. Find the beauty that's been hidden in Yahweh's Torah, in his instructions, in his chok, in his mitzvot, in his mishvat, in his tedot. Verse 34, La Rachav, in order to join tandem, horse and rider, with my name, Beshemi, my name, Kadem, the ancient original, the paleo, Hey Nun, the expressed tonic of remedy given teeth, Yod Tav Nun, as the voice, Bet Kufav Lamed Vav, his own voice, the cool voice, Ayin Zion, glory, splendor, dynamic, might, daring, outrageous. This voice, his voice. Verse 35, Tav Nun Vav, as we, or his impartation to us, Ayin Zion, is the same glory. Ayin Zion, Oz, like the Wizard of Oz. That's why they got it. Hebrew concept, Hebrew word. Lamed Aleph, Lamed Hey Yod Mem, unto Elohim. Well, didn't Yeshua say, aren't you called gods, or aren't you deified? Or we're called up to the stature of Elohim. That's why it gets into other New Age things. You know, we're all God or gods. It's a whole different thing. But he calls us Elohim, which is powerful entities with significance that we don't even comprehend. But it's Ayin Yamid, yoked with being Israel, where there Israel, Nun, Aleph, Vav, Tav, Vav, Na, Oto. It's yoked with our glory of being belonging to Elohim, or being yoked. Israel with Elohim is according to Nun, Aleph, Vav, Tav, Vav. Well, Aleph, Vav, Tav is, again, oath, sign, symbol, signal, letter of the alphabet. The letters of the alphabet. The meaning, the Nun, of the letters of the alphabet, smoke signal, like ringing a bell, Vav, Ayin, Zion, Vav, then the dynamic, impressive splendor, Bet, Shin, Het, Kuf, Yod, Mem, as sport or laughter. Going back to the Zakakadon, the Smilodon thing, it's like everything he talked about is written in these words, and everything is available by oath. And the symbols are the letters of the alphabet, and the signal according to everything he said. So the Zion and the Zadi both line up with number 7, the Sabbath day, the Moedim are in there. When we return to the Sabbath day and the Moedim and the significance of his name and everything he said, as we are doing this, it's like drops of rain in Aviv, the month of springtime, to the earth, and everything he said should sprout back to life. We should see it imminently, I fully believe. And this is his delight. This is his sport. We impart glory, Oz, to Elohim by yoking Israel, becoming as he expressed in symbolic format, the letters of the alphabet, which is his incredible celebration, his jubilation. Carrie Alexander's song, Jubilation. Like winning the Super Bowl or something. Even that wouldn't compare. Reggie White was saying that, you know, he was in the Super Bowl 3 or 4 times, and nothing compared to seeing the Torah scroll and the scroll of the book, the building in Jerusalem, where he actually looked at it and saw the actual words. But to actually be able to read these Paleo Hebrew letters is better than winning the Super Bowl, according to Reggie White. Verse 36, Nun Vav Resh Aleph, awesome, igniting light, the exhibition of Elohim, Mem Mem Kuf Dalet Shin Yod Kaf, to see, to behold, illuminated, the essence of your kadoshness, Aleph Lamed, translated God, or the power of Israel. What empowers Israel? Seeing this stuff, that this is Yahuwah himself. He, Hevav Aleph, he, it, the same, Nun Tav Nun, giving teeth, Ayin Zion splendor. It's putting the teeth on the mountain peaks back onto those great Har Bashan that had been chopped off, bitten, and left as some little rounded knoll. Vav Tav, Ayin Zadi Mem Vav Tav. Beta Otzamot, like Michael Etzam, the Apache fellow down there in New Mexico, by the last name of Bones. Etzamot is the word bones. It means force, might, power, materialized, independence, essence, self-substance. It's the quality or characteristics of be your true self. Yahuwah bless you. Baruch you, Michael Bones. Michael Etzel. Michael, have the power to prevail in true essence, reality, given finally forever the chance to be yourself. Who are you? Who am I? For Saving Private Ryan, for that guy to stand there and say, am I a good man? I don't know. Who are you? Who are you really? What was going on inside? What were your struggles? What was your life about? You see this guy poor, battered, and beaten up. Why doesn't he clean up? I mean, who knows what he's been going through? Every one of us have our incredible struggles. And if we overcome, if we are nasach, to prevail, Yeshua gave us more than the world. Though the righteous will inherit the earth, the overcomers will inherit. I mean, read the book of Revelation if you're Jewish and you don't get a chance to read it. Look at the first 4 chapters. To he who overcomes. Read those words. And the last 3 words of this chapter, La'am Baruch Elohim, to be the people blessed of Elohim. The righteous ones who believe, that talk and trust that these words are true. Adonai, I choose Selah, to stop and wait and sing this song as an obsession. Going back to verse 33. Okay, well, there you go. We went through it all. Thank you, Gillen, for recommending this chapter.
Amazing. Good work, Eric. I tell you what, man, I didn't say anything when you mentioned that this was what you're going to be speaking on. I kind of stayed silent. I've actually been working on this actual chapter this week, actually doing a study of prophecy in it. And I've literally on my desk in front of me, I've got 7 different versions of the Bible sitting out. I got the New King James, Sefer, NRSV, NASB, the Complete Jewish Bible, and they all read different. And I'm reading some footnotes in one of how it's one of the most hotly contested translations, because they can't really, and just opening this up, the keys to it, man, with back to the Paleo Hebrew, back to the Hebrew language. It's amazing. Yeah, it just kind of unlocked some keys, some epiphanies, some things went off as you're speaking and teaching on some things I had. I just didn't really, it's almost like it all goes back to Mount Sinai. It all goes back to when God tread on Mount Sinai, and where he's going to come again and tread upon the mountain. And we have a decision to make, and this is what this is saying, I believe, is we have a decision to make where we're going to be. He laid the plumb line. Are we going to follow his ways? Are we going to add or subtract, go off the side of the mountain, or are we going to follow him? Are we going to be the ones that are redeemed, the ones that reign with him in the kingdom, or are we going to be the ones that is under the footstool? That he's covered, his garments are covered in their blood. Wow, just there's so much is going off right now in my head with it. Just in some of the things that are just kind of putting together that you touched on there with the Hebrew is kind of just unlocking keys that you just don't get in the English translations. You don't get them.
You don't even get them in the Hebrew translations. Right? Well, it's unless you go back, as Eric said, to the pictographic meaning of the letters, because if my studies are, I'll take the word, the Hebrew word, and then I'll go look what's the basic word, and then that's as far as I go. But Eric goes letter by letter, and it reveals so much more. It's like instead of just looking through in between my hands, it's like he's opened it like the much wider vision, so that we can understand more of what he's saying. And So, and it, like you said, it just triggers things. Yes, yes, yes. When he's saying it, because now I know, I understand. Now the only thing you got to do, Eric, is put all of that in writing, and so that we can have what we need is a book of what all those letters mean, and then the book that you were working on before, but that didn't work out because whatever. I'm determined that one day you and I are going to do that.
Well, there's another fellow that is trying to facilitate me doing that too. So
that's good.
We'll see what happens with that.
So long as it gets done.
Yeah.
That's something. I mean, the whole message, like we were talking about from the beginning, you know, that we need to understand in our culture and in our churches as believers that we are Israel by blood or by adoption through faith in Messiah, and there's power in that. But where do we find that's what he's calling us to be? If we follow the commandments and follow his ways with the faith in Messiah, we're going to reign as priests and kings. We're going to reign right along with him. We're going to be in that procession from Mount Sinai to Mount Zion. And
just for what it's worth, real quick, I hear that phrase "priests and kings" thrown around quite often. It's like, oh yeah, boy, priests and kings. What a job description! Like, whoa, wait. A priest doing what, and a king doing what? But that word "king," as we said a number of times here, one who does what I said. Literally, that's what king means. Lamed Kaf, Mem Lamed Kaf is Melech. Meleki means my, but Mem means the place of or one who. Yod suffix means my or what I, my own, and Lamed Kaf means to you. So one who takes counsel to do what I said is literally the word for king. And the colon, Kaf He Nun, Kaf like, He Nun as declared, like what was declared, and Kaf He means so, thus, and then Kaf Nun is the word ken, which means yes, so truly. In other words, one who does exactly what I said in the right way. So to put those two together, kings and priests says, we're going to reign as kings and priests. We're going to walk, we're going to walk exactly what he said, doing what he said in the truth, not paying attention to the lies, the distortions, the satanic twistings, the Naphtali, the Zebulun, the snakes that live in the dung, as it were. Okay, well, that's not kings and priests in the future. That's going back to doing what he said here and now.
Okay, and the actual quote though is a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. Okay, right. So we're not going to become kings, we're going to become a kingdom of priests, which is what the original portion was. That the only reason we ended up with the priesthood of Aaron is because we as a people screwed up again, and that's when the priesthood was given to them. But we were supposed to all be priests, and the holy nations, obviously. Yahweh says, be holy as I am holy. And how do we do that? By keeping his commandments, walking the path that he's given us to walk. So that's what we're trying to express. Maybe we're not doing it as well as we should. I certainly love it a lot more the way Eric is explaining it, because it goes in so much more depth. But if I were to ask any one of us here, okay, just repeat what Eric said. How many of us would be able to do it? All right. Again, it's a matter of taking the time. I didn't know anything about the Hebrew language, same as Eric did not, and he studied it a certain way. And now I want to get to that level of where he's at, but it's going to take time. I appreciate what he's doing, and this every week strengthens my belief that, yes, we got to get into it deeper, so that, because I don't know if you could sense it, but I could see the emotion in Eric, the sadness that he has when he's saying this, because he cares about people, and especially our Jewish and Christian friends, because they're so convinced they're right, and yet many of them are not going to make it into the kingdom. It's not because I want to be right to what is it I'm doing. I have such a sadness for those people that it hurts my heart to see that they don't see the truth, and I don't know why. The four of us here can see it, and why another 4 million or 4 billion people don't see it. I just don't understand why. But it is our mandate to do what Eric is doing and what we're doing, trying to, and not point the finger at other people, but just say, look at me, I'm trying to do the best I can. I don't want to argue with you. I just want to tell you what Yahweh's put on my heart, and not argue. But unfortunately, most of the time when I start talking to Christian friends or Christian acquaintances, all they want to do is argue.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's what it is.
And there's a point where they shut you off. They don't want to hear the truth in the message. They're too caught up in their traditions. And part of it is the blindness, the curse that Jehovah's put on their eyes. You know, the scales are ready to come off, though, I believe. There's a movement coming, like with what Eric's doing with restoring the Paleo Hebrew, going back, and I mean, just all the wealth of information that's hitting us here. I mean, just people waking up daily. I believe that Yah's raising the remnant of his scattered sheep from all four corners of the earth now, and it's this is what we build upon. You know, this is what we build upon is the work.
The key word that's used there is remnant. All right. Remnant. How big is a remnant? The sadness is not that there's a remnant that's rising up, and even if it's 1 million or 10 million or 100 million, we've got 7.5, close to 8 billion people in this world. So the remnant is a small portion. If you take what happened before the flood as an example, I don't know how many people were in the world when the flood came, but 8 made it through. Is that not a big percentage of? I don't know how many. Like I said, I don't know how many were there. And these people were very, very intelligent, a lot more intelligent than we are, because they lived for 500, 600, 1,000 years. Imagine what you could learn if we could. Imagine if just take Eric, what he's learning now, and then multiply that by another 1,000 years. How much more he could learn and how much more in depth we could all become. So they were a lot smarter than us, and still they went wrong. And he had to destroy them all.
While you're reading it, though, I'm reading along with it in the English, and I have the Erictology scriptures open at the same time, and they're not even close.
No.
Like the words, they're just not even coming across even close to what we're reading here. You know, and I feel like as we're going through these things, week by week, we're like when we do the Shabbat, we're supposed to sound the shofar. When we do the feast days, sound the shofar. I feel like when we're studying these words, we need to sound the shofar. Let the Father know, look, man, we're here, we're studying, we're doing what you told us to do.
There we go.
And it's not a...
It's not a call to arms, it's a call to obedience.
68 just in English, it just looks like an explosion of random words. Like, what are you even saying?
It's because they didn't understand it, Kurt, so they put in whatever it is they want, because nobody else understands it. So they can, it's like asking a teacher that doesn't know the answer, and he's going to give you a bullshit answer, right? And then you go check out later and find out, well, he didn't know what the hell he was talking about. And that's what we're having with
I can't even find somebody trying to figure out what this verse means online. It just talks about the rain of gifts has been variously explained as actual showers. I don't know, some people say something about prosperity. There's a bunch of, it's just none of it, there's no connecting thoughts here until when we read it this way. And then I find the mention of the specific tribes even in the scripture, you know, and that's just one of those so level things where it could mean the name of the tribe, but the name of the tribe actually means something. And then, like the Hebrew language it may have like 10 different meanings for each word, and it's like you're handed a combination lock, and you gotta get the combination right to figure out how to open that lock, you know. And it's like every single word could have 10 different meanings, and you can't just push through it. You gotta slow down and figure out which meaning lines up with what's being said. It's not, you know,
that's why,
drawing out the scripture to get to that soul level is just so fun. It's fun, you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, like I said, Kurt, I mean, like I've literally got like seven different translations here, and they all read different. It doesn't make any sense. Like you said, now which one is right? And I think, you know, that's where we got to go back to the Hebrew back to the Paleo Hebrew, like Eric's doing, and this, I mean, just unlocking it's like an onion, each layer, peel back each layer, and we lose that when we lose the pictograph, the Paleo versus the Babylonian Hebrew, and like he was saying about, with some of these other scholars, they just discredit. We're discrediting it, try to discredit the message and the either the ancient form of the language. I mean, I don't understand that at all. I mean, I really don't. I mean, because it's right there. I mean, sitting here, I'm studying this chapter. This chapter this week. Eric didn't know this. He goes on and breaks it down letter by letter, and it unlocked keys for my understanding of these verses. Like I said, I couldn't get in the English because I got 7, 8 different translations here, and they don't.
And they're all wrong.
I think by the end of the chapter, though, it's just a reminder of how much, again, whether you're adopted or born or whatever, how much the Father loves Israel, how much He wants Israel. He wants us. He wants us. We just gotta wake up, man.
He created us out of love. He created us out of love, and He gave us the opportunity to. Some people say, well, if He's God, why doesn't He do this or do that? First of all, He allowed us to make the mistakes. He knew we were going to do it wrong, but He allowed us to do it so that later on we can't come back to Him and say, well, we would have done it if you'd only given us a chance. So He gave us the chance to do it. And unfortunately for us, we did not do it, not just once, but once in the garden, once before the flood, once after the flood, and over a period of so many years, Israel on, off, doing it. And that's where we're at now. The rest of the world is off, and our resonance with the Father is getting closer and closer because we're studying His Word and keeping His feasts in the manner that He wants. They're not Jewish feasts, they're the Father's feast that, yes, some of the Jews keep in their manner that they want, but not necessarily in the manner that He wants. So It's a matter of us staying true to the Word and doing this hopefully more often, or not more often, but at least continue to do it on a weekly basis, and hopefully get more viewers and more people that are willing to listen, because there's nothing that I can say, Eric can say, or any of you can say that'll convince people. It's the Holy Spirit that has to prepare their heart and say, okay, I want more, and then they'll tune in. And that should be our prayer every week, that more people tune in.
I feel, just for people who are watching this, you're Israel.
Yes.
If you're keeping the feast, if you're doing the Shabbat, you're reading the Word, you're comprehending the language, you're digging into it. You are Israel. You're no longer a Christian, man. You're no longer a Jew. You're Israel.
It's exactly as Eric said. Yisrael is Yashar El, the straight and upright path of Elohim. And that's the path that we have to walk on, not what the church fathers have said, not what rabbinical teaching tells us, the straight and right path, the upright path of Yahweh, of our Elohim. And that's what we have to walk on. Listen to what He says, not what they're saying.
People, since I've started doing this, for, 7 years now, almost 8, and they always ask me, well, what are you? I'm Israel. My answer is always Israel. I'm Israel. And that's just, it's like they cock their head to the side like a dog that hears something funny. Like, what? Well, if they want to know, I'll tell them. But if they don't want to hear it, I'll just move on.
Everybody wants to put a label on you. They want to have some kind of label. Are you Christian? Are you Jew? Are you this? Are you that? And unlike you, I don't say I'm Israel. I say I'm a son of the living Elohim, and that's who I obey, His word.
Exactly.
Now, there's nothing wrong with being Israel, but unfortunately, if you say I'm Israel, that means different things to everybody else.
Right.
It might be replacement theology. It might be this. You're a Jew now. Because if you say you're a Christian, or even if you say you're Messianic, then whatever they think Messianic means is what they think you are. So by saying I'm a son of the Elohim and I obey His commandments.
Exactly. I don't care what they think.
What's that?
I don't care what they think.
No,
I want them to ask me what Israel means.
They're going to put a label on you no matter what.
Exactly.
That is true. And like we were talking about earlier this week, Kurt, when we were talking on the phone, this is what we have to wake the remnant up that are asleep in the church where we were all at one point in time, that we spread that seed, we spread that message. Now God's going to wake them up. He's the one that's going to remove the scales from their eyes. But we plant the seed that there at the end, there is no 12 gates of Christianity. There is no 12 gates of Jewishness or Judaism that gets you in. It's the 12 tribes of Israel. You enter through a gate of one of the 12 tribes. How do you become one of the tribes? You have the faith of Messiah, the testimony of Messiah, and you keep the commandments, and you keep the Moedim, you keep the Shabbat, you keep the feast, and you try to, and you love others, and you love Yah. How do you love Yah? Keep his commandments. And it's the ignorance, and I don't say that to be mean, but the ignorance of the church. Talk to a pastor, that went to Bible seminary, but a pastor and comes from a long line of pastors, been in church his whole life, and been what he believes is a servant of the Most High. And I asked him about the lost tribes when I was still in, I was getting ready to come out of the church, and I'm starting to see all these things. No clue what the 12 tribes are. What do you mean the 12 tribes? The Jews went back, in 1948 back to Israel. Well, no, I'm not talking about Judah, the Jews. I'm talking about the 10.5 lost tribes that are dispersed, that come back at the end times, the remnant of those. Had no clue what I was talking about. And now here's a guy that's in the pulpit, went to Bible college, studied the Bible, can pick you random verses out here and there, quote them off the top of his head, but he doesn't even understand where we'll be on that day of judgment, where we enter into the New Jerusalem through one of the 12 gates. That means you have to be one of the tribes of Israel.
I was telling Eric when we first started this, just off phone conversations, that when I first started, I used to have an hour and a half drive south of Boston on every Friday, and I got tired of listening to the radio, so I would download scripture and listen to it. And I got through the whole Bible in like 6 months, but I couldn't. I could no longer do Christianity because it was completely opposite. But you keep hearing Israel and Judah over and over and over again. How can you ignore that? It's so then the question obviously became to me, well, who are Israel and Judah? And then when you just start going down that rabbit hole, everything kind of just, the rest of scripture makes sense when you realize who he's talking to. He's not just randomly speaking. He's talking to a very specific group of people. He's giving out the blessings to the tribes, which would become the tribes if they were just the sons of Jacob at the time. But, and then even as we're going through this verse, we did the Mazarot, and I can hear this kind of connecting to what's in the Mazarot. It's interesting.
When you use the word ignorance or ignorant, it sounds horrible, but what really it means is they're just ignoring the truth. That's what it means to be ignorant. You don't know the truth, so you speak on not knowing what the truth is, and that's what ignorance is: ignoring the truth and walking by your own understanding. So it may sound derogatory to call somebody ignorant, but it's just that they don't know the truth.
Well, if you're given a school assignment and they say, give me a book report, and you only read the last 2/3 of the book,
yeah, you're
going to fail that book report. You have to read the whole thing, man.
Right. And it's just that simple. How we've gotten away, I'm not here to bash Christians, but at the same point in time, we don't have time to sit and play around and play pity pat and, let's make up another 10,000 denominations by the end of the year, because we're just going to, the truth is the truth, and that people need to hear the truth. If they don't accept the truth, they don't accept the truth. That's when Yeshua is going to tell them on Judgment Day, be gone. I don't know you. When people hear the truth, and I think that's a lot of, when I said, us being ignorant in the church, we were all there. I was there. And if somebody would have told me these truths 10 years earlier, who knows? But, like I said, Yah puts everything in his appointed time, but it's when he rises up his messengers to go out and give that message. That's his message. And it's the message the same from the beginning. What happens in the end started in the beginning. And it's a procession. This is a procession. This is what I'm getting from this psalm, is a procession from Mount Sinai when God tread on the mountain and gave the covenant to the people, the Torah, the commandments, and said, this is what you will receive if you follow me, and you will be Yasharel, you will be my chosen people, and you will be blessed. Or you can choose not to do them, and you will be cursed. This is the life and the curse of the Torah all throughout history to the end when he treads upon. And he's calling us back, blowing the shofar, bringing our voice out on the rooftops, yelling out his name, Yehovah, Yeshua HaMashiach, and letting them know we got to follow the commandments. This is his real name. This whole replacement theology, churchianity, let's just make up our own thing, take one line here and one line there and just invent something. I mean, where did we go wrong with all this? I mean, I don't know. I guess
listen, guys, it's been great, but I've got to leave.
I'm going to pray before you go.
Okay.
Father, thank you for the time to come together. We are Israel. We claim that, Father. We are your children. And we see you. And we see your words. And we see you waking up the rest of our brothers and sisters, our cousins, our family, Father, across this entire world, Father, as the enemies of you rise up against us. Father, we don't worry about them. All we see is you. And I thank you for the opportunity to hear your words in your language. Speak them directly to our hearts that we may know you even more. In Yahuwah's name, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Have a great Yahweh blessed week. Bye for now.
See you guys. Shalom.
Shalom.